sense this is the last path calling to me. Use the lamp here, mortal. Like before, this path stirred up memories. I experienced the same dread before Hermaeus Mora's forces arrived. But I did not collapse like a coward. I commanded my Shardborn to resist, and they obeyed. The struggle, I recall, was epic. I remember the armies of the other princes pounding on the doors to my shrine. My loyal Shardborn readying their weapons. The sounds of unrelenting battle. I recall the princes standing in judgment over me. Then, blackness. She is correct. I should not trust Azura's lamp. But it led us to 2 ingredients needed for a sage's dream, and now we have tiramweed and hawk fruit. 1 more and we can make the drink, and then I can regain control of my powers. Step into the many paths once again, mortal. Unbridled anger fills these halls. We have entered a war zone. Find the last ingredient, but be careful. Reality in this path is extremely fragile. It might shatter. Hurry! I remember this as a place filled with life and joy. This is not that place. Hermaeus Mora consumes this shrine, his response to the savagery of Athelia's defense.
No, you must not bring that reflection any closer. Speak with me, and I shall explain. Your Ithelia, does she not sense it? The Ithelia of this path, my prince, has lost herself. She has become the monster that Hermaeus Mora foresaw. If she cannot regain control, this reality is finished. Why does a mortal walk beside an Ithelia? Then I hope you succeed where I have failed. I tried to get my prince to calm down, but she lashed out at Mora's forces with her full fury. The more she fought, the more lost she became. Perhaps there is still a chance for you. How can I help? Why would... Oh, I understand. Azura's lamp wants to preserve your reality. By helping your Ithelia regain control, she can be safely imprisoned again. The ingredient you need is close by. Loot berries. Hurry and take them before it is too late. Flee while you can, mortal. Save your own life. Just spare a thought for this doomed path, if you survive. I suspect we will not last much longer. I suggest you take the loot berries and run. Good luck. Ithelia is the fate changer, the unweaver. She has power unlike any other Daedric prince. The power to shift existence itself. Mora long suspected that Ithelia was dangerous, but full of uncontrollable rage. Reality itself unravels around her. The unimaginable. Can you contemplate what happens when reality shreds like parchment beneath a saber cat's claws? Nothing remains when existence ceases to be.
Mora dares! Damn his eyes! Every one of them! What a monster! Behold the last tomorrow! Behold the destroyer of reality! This Athenia shows uncontrollable rage. It will consume every piece of his reality. We must leave this path before my reflection destroys it.
you are! Oh, come here. I have an idea about the sage's dream. Did you get lost down here? Yeah, that happens to me sometimes too. That woman is back upstairs, sitting by the fire, so I came looking for you. I think I figured out how to make a sage's dream, even if we don't have the proper ingredients. What? You do? Well, that makes things easier. I'm not sure where you got ingredients that no longer exist, but the good innkeeper knows when not to ask questions. Can you help me make the drink? I'll read from the recipe book while you do the rest. I turned my alchemy stove into the finest experimental drink maker in Tamriel. You can be the first to try it. For each ingredient, we'll need to get the temperature just right. I'll call out for more or less heat. You turn the appropriate valve. First, place the tirum weed in the apparatus. Slowly apply heat to steep the tirum weed. No one ever wanted to try one of my experimental drinks before. All they ever ordered was mead or ale. Now I can finally put this apparatus to the test. Just follow along with my instructions. We'll make a great drink. Needs more heat. Too hot. Reduce the heat. That looks nicely steeped. Next, place the hawk fruit in the apparatus. Apply heat to liquefy the hawk fruit. Again, not too hot. It needs to be hotter. You'll burn the fruit. Reduce the heat. The hawk fruit looks properly reduced. Now add loot berries to the apparatus. You should chill the loot berries without freezing them. It needs to be cooler. It's getting too cold. Don't freeze them. Perfectly chilled. Now to blend the drink. 2 parts steeped tirum weed and hawk fruit juice for every 1 part of chilled loot berries. That's the exact amount of loot berries we need. That's the perfect amount of tirum weed. Don't add any more. Looks like a perfectly blended sage's dream. Pour the finished drink into that carafe. Now, grab the drink and take it to that strange woman. I'll meet you upstairs.
Sage's dream. Do you have it? The storm abates, and I can clearly see the many paths. I can discern one reality from the next, and my mind is clear. I am myself again. I am Ithelia, Prince of Paths and Mistress of the Untraveled Road. I shall set things right. The echoes I dragged from disparate paths are free to return to their own realms, and allow me to untangle the threads of fate and restore balance to this reality. I thank you, Pathwalker. And I am jealous of you. We learned that every ithelia is dangerous, a broken creature that ends up hunted. We cannot change who we are. But mortals, you choose your paths. You don't need the powers of a Daedric prince to alter your fate. I envy this. Goodbye, Pathwalker.
You did it! Oh, that strange woman has left and taken the shadows with her. Time to start running a regular inn again. Maybe I'll add this sage's dream to the menu, provided I can get some more of those ingredients.
The people are gone. I just had a good conversation with one. She didn't say much, but that's fine. Bring them back!
The pain is gone and the threads of fate have untangled. What happened in there, Proxy? I sense the knot in the threads of fate has untangled, Proxy. This threat to our reality has passed. Should I assume you are responsible? Tell me what occurred within the Outcast Inn. Proxy, you saved reality and discovered a critical relic at the same time. Hermaeus Mora was right to put faith in you. If Ithelia has regained her power, we will need that lamp to find her. Would you mind if I take it to study? With Ithelia free and more in control of her power, she still poses a threat. If you have an interest, come to Skingrad and meet with me again. We have more work ahead of us. In the meantime, here is the promised reward, with my thanks. I must contact Hermaeus Mora and inform him that Ithelia has regained at least some of her power. Do not take this as a slight against you. Helping her saved many lives. It was the correct thing to do. Take it to Skingrad for study. Azura's lamp was designed to hunt down Ithelia and her minions. Knowing how best to utilize it must be my next priority. Please find me there when you are able. The Chosen of Fate still has much to do.
Betu! Oh, where has that dog gone? Excuse my shouting, traveler. You wouldn't happen to have seen a dog running around? Large, fluffy, carrying a very important estate-defining scroll in his mouth? Oh, it's a tiring ordeal. I'm visiting Westweald to execute the will of my late aunt, Lady Weatherly. The will my aunt's beloved dog, Betu, currently has in his slobbery little mouth. No thanks to Lady Weatherly's investigator friend. Yes, one Mizik Thunderboots. It seems he and my aunt are old friends, and he insisted on helping execute her will. I've had my fill, but you're welcome to lend him a hand. In fact, I can offer you a tidy sum if you can help move things along. You can find Mizik just down the road, searching the Weatherly estate for Betu. He has quite a distinct look. You can't miss him. Khajiit wearing a broad-brimmed hat and big, heavy boots. Quite the flair for the dramatic, if you ask me. My dear aunt suffered a terrible fall in her library. It's tragic. She certainly had many more years ahead of her. Now those she left behind are trying to piece together her final wishes. Even her son deigned to return. I shouldn't be so flippant with my family's drama. Uriel, my cousin, disappeared years ago. My aunt believed he died in Varen's revolt. Yet, here he is. Something doesn't seem right. But I'll leave the speculation to the investigator. One Mizik Thunderboots. It's an odd name for an investigator, don't you think? Doesn't inspire a sense of discretion. Although, if what he says is true, he knew my aunt. If she trusted him, then so can I.
It seems Mizik has... Ah! An old friend approaches. This one knows there are no coincidences in his line of work. Mizik could use help solving a curious case. You wouldn't by any chance have seen a beast running about with a mouthful of parchment? Mizik knew he would see you again, friend. Perhaps you share his keen nose for the scent of corruption. A good crime-fighting ally is hard to come by, and he has no doubt there is a crime here. He just has to find it. Mizik was a friend of Lady Weatherly. He worked tirelessly on the case of her missing son when he was just a cub of a crime fighter. It was the one case Mizik could not solve. Now, at the hour of her death, he hears her son has returned. He is there in the manor, waiting to claim his inheritance. But it seems strange, yes? Mizik thinks so, So does Lady Weatherly's niece. She hired Mizik to investigate her aunt's death. But to start his investigation, Mizik must find the will. Ah! An old friend approaches. A wonderful idea from dear Aquilia. This one fears there is more afoot to Lady Weatherly's death. But our first clue is currently in the jowls of a dog. A hairy, stinky thing. Betu is the beast's name, though this one calls him Headache. Oh, yes. Helping with the will is a cover. Not only was her death sudden and mysterious, but now her fortune is missing, and her long-lost son has returned. A great many threads for one's claws to get tangled in. Yes, yes. Aquilia wishes the question of inheritance be conclusively answered before it becomes fodder for the gossips. Now, dear Aid, we must find Betu. This one has already found his tracks. Let us crouch down and follow his trail.
I don't know what you're playing at, but you're a fool to come here.
There's Lady Pelena and her husband Uriel, our once long-lost son.
Be angry all you want, dear wife, but don't cause a scene. I'm here to stay.
Fine. Then you can help deal with your cousin and that inane investigator. Now, where could that mangy dog have gotten off to?
There's Betu. Quick, grab the wheel while he is occupied. Quickly, grab the wheel.
Not now, Betu! Away with you!
With the wheel secured, let us speak with Edric.
Betu's always been an incorrigible sort. Best not to let him walk all over you. Apologies. I should introduce myself. My name is Edric Bressner. I was Lady Weatherly's cook. Terrible thing, her death. Beyond compare. Yes, terribly so. I've been in her employ for what feels like ages, which is why I hope you'll listen when I say you must leave the estate. I fear what happened to our dear lady could happen to you. Chefs are privy to more than just their employer's favorite dishes. Lady Weatherly hasn't been the same since her son's disappearance, and I'm not the only one to take notice. Fruit flies buzz around the sweetest fruit, after all. I can't say any more. I only came to pay my respects and to leave this place behind. If I were you, I would stay far away from that manor before that investigator digs up something horrible. If you insist on
It seems the
staying,
cook knows more than he is willing to let on. How very curious. Mizik will have to make note of this. At least this confirms that the residents of the estate are keeping their secrets close to their chests. Yes, of course. Along with the cook, there's Otho Florius, the gardener. Then, of course, Lady Weatherly's missing son himself, Uriel, back from the dead. And his wife, Helena, who has long lived at the estate with Lady Weatherly. Convenient, yes? Many questions surround Uriel's sudden return. And it should be noted that Helena seems none too pleased about it. Mizik has, of course, investigated a number of failed marriages, but this seems different. Ah, what of the will? Yeah, excellent. The seal is still intact. We should return to the manor now that we've secured the will. I am certain our roosting vultures are keen to hear what it has to say. Meet Mizik by the manor house when you are ready to meet the others.
I hope Betu's return means you retrieved the will, Mizik?
Yes, the will is returned and intact, thanks to my assistant.
Well, let's get this over with. Read it aloud, Mizik.
Yes, of course. Weatherly's walls hide a glittering secret, safely guarded by 4 loyal paws. Do not worry. Mizik and his assistant will get to the bottom of this.
I'm sorry. Is that a riddle?
This must be some sort of joke.
There he is, my faithful friend.
Oh!
Strange. Betu doesn't seem too fond of you, cousin.
Nonsense. I'm sure Betu just needs time to remember me. Isn't that right, boy?
Feel free to speak with the others, but join me in the study when you are ready.
The estate feels hollow now, without her. And apologies for my appearance. I needed some liquid courage to walk the halls of this corpse. I hope you find who did this. She did not deserve what happened to her. Closer than most staff are with their lords and ladies, I reckon. I'd worked for her since before young Uriel had even been born. Feels like a lifetime ago. More memories to drown, I suppose.
I'm Otho, the gardener. Betu must like you if he followed you back. He's a good judge of character, you know. Lady Weatherly loved him dearly. I worry about what will become of him when all is said and done. Edric is making a bit of a fool of himself. It pains me to see him this way. I assure you, he's never acted like this before. Perhaps it'd be better if you asked him. He's had a rough go of it.
It seems I was right to ask for your help. Despite the mysterious contents of the will, this is the most progress we've made all day. I trust you and Mizik will see things through, and we can proceed with this unpleasant business. Fairly, though I wish I had made more of an effort to visit. I spent many summers here when I was younger, but school and then my position kept me away for far too long. She was kind, generous. Her loss outweighs any treasure we might find.
All this waiting, and for what? A riddle. It's absurd. The sooner you and Mizik solve this riddle, the sooner our family can move on from this nonsense. To think we haven't even had a chance to celebrate Uriel's return. How embarrassing. You overheard that. Tensions have been high since his mother's passing. There are certain adjustments we've both had to make. Nothing some restful sleep can't solve.
I didn't realize Mizik had an assistant. A pleasure to meet you. I hope, despite the circumstances, you will find time to enjoy the estate grounds. It's beautiful this time of year. A small blessing while we grieve. Happy doesn't do the feeling justice. Ecstatic, overjoyed, yet still burdened by Mother's passing and the horrors of battle. But being surrounded by loved ones has been a major boon.
Why would Lady Weatherly leave a riddle in her will? Perhaps you can make sense of it. Could the four paws mean Betu? They certainly are not a glittering secret. Certainly the fortune. Loyal paws? Must mean Betu. But still, clarity eludes this one. How can a dog hide a secret? There must be something this one is missing. It seems Lady Weatherly led her own investigation into her son's death. A note peeking out from behind the painting. Excellent eye for detail, friend. It seems Helena made her feelings about the cook quite clear to Lady Weatherly. Let Mizik see the note. An anonymous letter warning Lady Weatherly of a traitor. This one wonders if they were able to meet before her death. It paints a disturbing picture of her final moments. Mizik was told that Lady Weatherly died alone in her library. But could she have met with a stranger only to become their victim? We must question the family, but do not mention the note. Whether this note was sent by the killer or a kind soul close to Lady Weatherly, it confirms one thing, that there is indeed a traitor among us. And with this letter, Mizik can do what he does best. Play cat and mouse.
If you are looking for the stranger who calls himself Uriel, he went to walk the estate grounds with Helena, and not a moment too soon. I was growing tired of their bickering. Of course, though I doubt I'd be of much help. I was tending to affairs in High Isle when I learned of my aunt's death. As her last living blood relative, I saw fit to see to her will, until my cousin's convenient reappearance, of course. Oh, as I understand it, she fell from her library's ladder while reaching for a book. If she had kept a modest staff on hand, perhaps she could have been saved. But by the time she was found, she had passed. I believe it was one of the estate's remaining workers. Helena would know more. She was here when it happened. Unlike Uriel. I know grief can cloud one's judgment, but is she not at all suspicious of Uriel's story? I haven't seen Uriel since we were teens, before I was sent to boarding school. And then he left to fight in Varen's revolt 6 years ago. He might share a passing resemblance, even with his scar, but I don't believe he's really Uriel. Frustratingly, no. But my aunt spent countless coins searching for Uriel. Even if his story is true, and he lost his memory, she would have found him. I fear Uriel was lost to us in the revolt. And this man is wearing our grief like a disguise. That's the thing. Since his arrival, Helena has been both overjoyed and furious. I suppose his return after so long could explain her mixed emotions. But I think she's hiding something. They share terse whispers constantly.
If Aquilia was Lady Weatherly's last living heir, could she have expected to receive the missing fortune? A motive, perhaps.
Foolish of you to think that I would just disappear.
My love, apologies. Recent events have been overwhelming, to say the least. I needed some fresh air, and my dear Uriel saw fit to join me. Is there anything I can help you with? No, I was not. Lady Weatherly was kind enough to let me live on the estate when Uriel went off to fight. But I often spend my mornings walking through the woods. A ritual that has helped ever since Uriel's death. Absence, I mean. Otho Florius, the gardener, was the one who found her. He was the only one home at the time. Ever since I fired that horrible cook, Otho's been the only remaining staff member tending to the estate. Yes, I caught Edric snooping around my private quarters. Terrible thing, having one's privacy encroached upon. I told him to never return or I'd have Betu chase him out. I admit I did enjoy striking fear into that sad little man. Well enough. He's known me since my courtship years with Uriel. He causes his fair share of mischief, but Lady Weatherly could never bring herself to get rid of him. After all, Betu was her last connection to Uriel. The dog has a penchant for stealing what isn't his. I usually ask our gardener to wrangle him, but as you can see, he hasn't done a very good job. Of course, now that Lady Weatherly has passed, we can consider alternatives.
Go on then, ask me how I returned. It's the only question anyone seems to have for me. Uriel Weatherly, back from the dead. It's laughable. 6 years ago, I left to fight in Varen's revolt. I was gravely wounded and left for dead, and would have died, had a caravan of Khajiit not stumbled upon me and taken pity. The Khajiit could heal my wounds, but not my memories. They were lost. Every single one. I rode with the caravan until I was fully healed. It wasn't until we rode into Skingrad that the first slivers of my past began to return. By the time I remembered my name and where I lived, it was too late. Mother was dead. Some things, yes, but there are still heavy clouds. For instance, it's clear Mother's riddle was meant for me, but I can't make sense of it. I can only hope your talented investigative skills solve this mystery. I fear Aquilia has merely succumbed to her own grief, chasing phantasms with bloody daggers. My mother was a wonderful woman who died a simple death. It is sad, but common. You come to understand this when you've been to war. From what I've been told, my mother lived her final years grieving in isolation. My dear wife Helena did her best to keep her company, But my mother had no friends or visitors. Aside from the hired help, of course. All this talk of suspects when the woman simply fell. Though I suppose Thunderboots would not be here if the death weren't suspicious. Speak with the staff yourself if you see fit.
We must speak to groundskeeper Otto Florius. He discovered Lady Weatherly's body.